What is up, though, Lions fans? You know, there's one thing that's always constant. It's just that Motor City Cats. We're back at it. We came to give you stats, not static, and whatever you do. Make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And what is up, though? Just a fan. We're going to get into some things. But one thing that I do have to say is that I come to give you stats and not static, and some people want to give you static. And to those people, be careful what you wish for. Just got to be careful what you wish for, man. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. All right, so TaylorMade Media is, I'm guessing, happy that the Lions lost. So he's got his who said, what are you talking about, Celine 313? TaylorMade Media has got some popcorn ready. So we're going to get into everything. Welcome in TaylorMade Media, Just a Fan, Celine 313. Glad you guys are here to join. And we'll have some others later, like Lone Spoon. He's a vet, vet of the chat. So we'll have other people in here a little bit later on. K8 Press might come in to take a victory lap after we got our asses beat by the Buffalo Bills. We're going to get into all of that. The first thing that we need to get into, though, is the injuries. Man, oh man, oh man. At some point, you wonder the tolls that the injuries are going to take on this football team. Now, that being said, am I confident that the Detroit Lions can beat the Green Bay Packers with the Chicago Bears without Aleem McNeil and Carlton Davis? Yes, because we just beat the Packers last week without them. Am I confident going through that we can win out and get the 1 seed without these players? Yes, because we've done it all year long. But what I will say, there she goes. There's K8 Press. But what I will say is this. How many more injuries can we sustain before it becomes a very, very, very large issue? So we know that Aleem McNeil is out, tore his ACL. Unfortunately, now I was doing a live stream and I had people like K8 Press there and I was trying to keep everybody calm. I couldn't really react to what I saw from Aleem McNeil when he was coming off of the field. When he was coming off of the field, the way that he was so pissed off, I can't say I knew, right, with 100% certainty, but the thought was very prevalent in my mind that his season was over. Because you don't react that way just because you're not going to be able to finish out the game or you're not going to be able to, play the next few snaps. And once they said a little bit later on in the broadcast that he had been carted off to the locker room, I was like, yeah, that's it. That was probably an ACL. And then once they showed the replay, I was like, yeah, non-contact. That's, yeah. The only thing that I could say was, like, he did jump up and land awkwardly, so the reverberation was contact. Nah, I knew what it was. And then we marched on. And earlier in the game, two other things happened. They said Carlton Davis was being evaluated for a concussion, and then they said something about a jaw injury. And then we were like, bruh, give him whatever smelling salt that he needs to get back in there. And, hey, he might be like, they're evaluating from the concussion, and they're like, so where are you at right now? Minnesota. Okay, well, it starts with an MI, just like Michigan, put him back in the game. Carlton Davis, broken jaw. Didn't return to the game. We had Kendall Vildor in there. We had Khalil Dorsey in there. And we'll talk about both of those guys in a minute, more so Khalil Dorsey before Kendall Vildor. So Carlton Davis, he's out. They're saying a mixture of indefinitely in 6 weeks. So I raved about Carlton Davis all week, about how strong our secondary was, about how for the last 9 weeks he's been the number one corner in the NFL. So now you're losing a definitely top 10. You could argue top 5 defensive tackle, Nalee McNeil. You're losing the best corner in the NFL per PFF and the metrics since, for the last 9 weeks. So those aren't just guys that you're replacing. So then Khalil Dorsey is in there. He's the backup for the backup, right? Because Kendall Vildor is the backup, and then Khalil Dorsey, I don't know if they were rotating them or what happened, but same situation as with Hutch. They had friendly fire. His leg clipped, I think it was Ezekiel Turner's leg. And we're going to talk about Ezekiel Turner in a minute. I think it clipped his leg. Lower ankle broken. It bent the wrong way. He's out. He's done. Now, we know Khalil Dorsey was one of the stars of the was at the Tennessee Titans game. He had that 70-yard return, and Khalif Raymond did the rest. So we're losing a core special teams guy. And if anybody thinks his special teams aren't important, well, just look at that onside kick. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. On the good news front, I mean, we'll be getting Ennis Rakestraw back soon. I don't think Iffy is quite ready. I don't know what's happening with Emmanuel Mosley. I mean, I do understand Emmanuel Mosley's injury history, but just as some of the people in the stream with me yesterday were saying, if he's on the team, I think it was Mr. Morale 313. He said if he was on the team, he needs to be playing. Right? Because the situation yesterday was that we had one injury scratch. One inactive was due to injury, and that was Trevor Nowatzki, who was dealing with a concussion. Emmanuel Mosley, at least as was listed, wasn't listed as an injury inactive. He was a healthy scratch. So if he's healthy, we need to see him on the field doing something. At this point, it's like this. We understand the man. We understand the human being. And we're going to be very respectful of that. But, and I don't even want to put this in the same breath, so I'm going to say something different. I'm not going to mention this player's name because it's a toxic name to mention. Quarterback that nobody's picked up, no one's looked at, no one's sniffed all season. And if someone signed him to the practice squad, I definitely missed it. But just remember, back to training camp if you want, you know what I'm saying? But at this point, if he can't play, if his body can't physically do it, what we need to do because you need his veteran leadership, you need his mentorship, you need all of these things. It is valuable to your culture, it's valuable to your locker room, it's valuable to your young cornerbacks, Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. It's valuable to them. Make him a coach. That's what I'm saying. If his body can't physically handle the rigors of not even an NFL season, an NFL game, okay, an NFL game, if his body cannot handle that, if he can't get back to a place where he can go through a series without getting injured, then make him a coach. That's all I'm going to say. As far as that, like I said, they've started Iffy's clock again. You know, it's the opening of the 20-day window. You know, he had, you know, a similar situation to Christian McCaffrey, we believe. I don't know if it was bilateral Achilles tendonitis. It might have just been in one foot or the other. And then he had, I think it was a hand injury. I think he like fractured his hand or something like that while he was coming back, while he was in the 21-day window for the Achilles thing. So then they had to bring him off of IR and then put him back on IR. So this was the fourth game that he missed for the second time. So whenever he can come back, we need him back. It's all hands on deck from this moment on. We still have 3 games in front of us. We still control our own destiny. And we're going to talk about that in the next little segment. But it is what it is on these injuries, man. It's the NFL, next man up. I don't think any team ever before has been decimated by injuries like this team. But again, it's next man up. And we can't do anything about it. We've got who we've got, and we're going to play with who we're going to play with. All right, let me get to welcome the rest of you in the chat. We've got, okay, Brent DeWitt is here, and K Ain't Press are here. So let me read some of your comments before I get into my next topic. All right, so that's K is feisty now. K is feisty. So Celine 313 says, fortunately, we still good on offense. Monty down, but Gibbs and Craig will be enough. I didn't. Side note, my bad. I didn't mention Monty, because I just went on this thing with the defense. Monty, he's out. It was reported first that he had sprained his MCL. Then it was reported that he tore his MCL. Then it was confirmed, and he's getting season-ending surgery. So David Montgomery won't be there. And I'll get into it a little bit later as far as the impact of that situation. But, yes. Brett DeWitt says, with Monty out, who gets the most snaps now, Vaki or Craig? I believe it would be Craig because Craig is more of a Monty. Vaki is more of a Gibbs. Obviously not as fast and explosive, but, you know, I think Craig is more of a Monty. But it's going to be on Ben Johnson to get creative. Justin Fan says, you mean Mr. Glass? Yes. Britt DeWitt says, 64 and never seen 20 guys on IR. Kay has got some smoke for Taylor May. She said, MF's hating, plotting, and praying on our own downfall like a bunch of punks. Shots fired. All right. So let's get to the next part of this situation. Justin Fan, don't make me time you out and kick you out of my chat. No, I'm just joking with you, just a fan. But you don't come in here cursing now. Okay, don't come in here using all that foul language, just a fan, talking about some Jeff Okudah. You know that's a curse word around here. Okay, that is a curse word around here. Jeff Okudah is a curse word. So I did see Jerry Jacobs tweeting out, and that's the funny thing. People had a lot of bad to say about Jerry Jacobs. Now he starts tweeting about opportunities, and a lot of Lions fans want to come back and talk about Jerry Jacobs. All right, so let's talk about this game. Should I address the Lions fans first, or should I talk about the game? Y'all let me know in the chat, because I'm going to do both of those things. Let me know. Going once, going twice. I'm going with the first comment that says either game or fans. The first one, I'm going with it. So let me know in the chat. Celine 313 said, E-Man gonna come in and shock the world. I hope you are right. Just play. That's all I want you to do is play. I know it's my show, but what do y'all want to hear? All right. Anyway, well, okay. So Celine 313 says, talk about these flipping floppy fans. Britt DeWitt says the sky is not falling. Listen, Amik Robertson put out a tweet. I don't remember what it said, but I responded to the tweet and basically I said, we're still with you. We're still supporting you. We're 12-2. We've never seen 12-2. And some of these fans, quote unquote, would be wise to remember that. Most of us, Brent DeWitt is 64. I'm not quite 64, right? Brent, you got 20 plus years on me. All right. I know Justin Fan is up there. Taylor Made is, he's older. I think most of us are 40 plus, right? So we've been through this. We've seen so many things with this football team. We've had two eras that we've seen. I don't know if anybody is in here that you probably have a father or a grandfather or someone in your family who was alive in 57. My father was in 57. My father was 12 years old. My father's not a big sports fan. He was an athlete. He played all the sports. My father's from Covert, Michigan, and he couldn't play football in high school because someone had broken their neck or something at his school, so they banned it at his school. Shout out Covert Bulldogs. They banned it at his school for a while. So obviously he wasn't able to play it, but he played basketball, he ran track, he played baseball, he did all the stuff. So while I'm sure he saw the 57 or he was aware of the 57 title, he never talked to me about it. My fandom comes really and this is another reason why I say that Barry Sanders is my football father. I followed Barry Sanders into football. Okay? When the Detroit Lions drafted Barry Sanders, that was it for me. Okay? Watching him made me fall in love with the game of football. So as a little kid in Detroit that really wasn't ever pushed into rooting for the Lions, obviously I probably walked past TV and Billy Sims was on and I didn't really, you know what I'm saying? I was too young to know what I was seeing. But when Barry Sanders came, that was it for me. We've seen, basically 50% of Barry's career, we were in the playoffs, but we only saw one playoff win. Okay. Barry Sanders went to the playoffs 5 times. He played 10 years. Okay, so that's pretty much 50. That was pretty much if we want to average out every other year. We saw one playoff win, just one. Okay, 12-2 as a record, 11-game winning streak. Never happened. Haven't seen it before. Okay, just to put it into perspective, the last time we had a start to a season that was this good, and I say a start to the season, and we have 3 more games left. Okay, listen to the words that I'm saying. I say start to the season, and we have 3 more games left. Okay, so the last time that we had something similar to this was the first year that they were in Detroit. It was 1934 when they started off 10-0, and then they went 10-3. Okay, we started off 1-1, and then we went 12-2. It's been 3 months. And I said this after the game when I was like tweeting about it. I was like, damn, it's been 3 months since we lost a game. Is this how it feels? We've seen Calvin, generational talent, gone too soon in the moonlight. Just be, you know what I'm saying? Motown. I'm not going to get into my mic, but you know what I mean? Gone too soon. Barry Sanders, gone too soon. We've seen that. We've been through 0-16. We've been through Rod Marinelli. We've been through Fatty Matty Patty. Okay? The Quinn Trisha error. Error. We've been through Martin Mayhew drafting Eric Ebron over Aaron Donald, and if you wanted an offensive player, Odell Beckham Jr. Now, it's easy to poo-poo Odell Beckham Jr. and say, well, I mean, if you look at these injuries, what do you think Odell's, career would have looked like? I don't know, right? I don't know. But we've seen all of these things. We've seen the Calvin Johnson rule. We've seen when the refs just seem to be screwing us every opportunity that they could get. I mean, just last year in Dallas, we had the same situation. We had to hold on to the best quarterback in our history until now was a guy who never won anything. And people still hold on to Matthew Stafford. There was a, and I'm sorry if any of you guys were involved in this. And if you were involved in this, now is your time. Now is your chance to go ahead and apologize to me and to the rest of Lions Nation. Okay. The rest of the pride. There was a segment of Lions fans when Matthew Stafford got traded. They did this ridiculous ass thing called Detroit Rams. Meyer was selling shirts. People were buying them and wearing them, and they were rooting for Matthew Stafford. And then look what Matthew Stafford did. As soon as he had the opportunity, he turned his backs on your ass. I should say he turned his back on your asses. I got my S's mixed up. You got Kelly Stafford. I mean, it's craziness what we've had to endure. Okay. Lone Spoon says that was embarrassing. Yes, it was extremely embarrassing. But if you did it, I'll give you the chance to have your mea culpa, and you can, apologize and cleanse yourself of them sins. Time to exorcise the demons. Anyway, so we've been through so much stuff, and like I said, this is the tipping point for me. There are still fans that will kiss the ground that Matthew Stafford walks upon, even though in our best opportunity to win a freaking playoff game, Matthew Stafford wet and pooped the bed in the same drive. The last drive, he turned the ball over twice. How does one do that? Well, the first time he threw an interception, the Did he get strip sacked? No. He threw an interception, which during the return, somebody knocked it out of the Dallas defender's hand, and we recovered the fumble. So our offense never left the field. I considered it the same possession. And then on the last play, when we had to have it, and it was 4th down, Matthew Stafford got strip sacked because he wasn't aware in the pocket. And there are still people that will hold on to that man's every word. They will hold on to that man's every word. They will still cheer for him in LA. And I promise you, there are still people that if we were to see, and I'm just saying hypothetically, if we were to see the LA Rams in the playoffs and these injuries caught up to us, and for whatever reason we just weren't able to do it, there are still people after this season that would root for that man to go ahead and win the Super Bowl and then still feel like, hey, he's still one of us. We have people out there to that extent and to that level, but we watch a team go 12-2 and the sky is falling and our season is over and this team is garbage and everybody needs to be fired. Aaron Glenn's trash. Oh, he's been so garbage and he's not any good as a coordinator. And fire Dan Campbell. He's a moron, a buffoon, a doofus, an idiot. This. What are we doing, man? What are we doing? Like, we have to be able to enjoy the journey. And there hasn't been a lot to enjoy. Not a whole lot since 1957. I know. I wasn't born. There hasn't been a whole lot to enjoy. But enjoy what you can while you can enjoy it. I understand it was Super Bowl or bust, but whose fault is it that we now have 20 people on IR? 21? Because I'm pretty sure Carlton Davis is going to go on IR. Aleem McNeil's definitely on season-ending IR. Monty's on season-ending IR. That's 20 right there. So if Carlton Davis is going to go on temporary IR or whatever the case may be, I don't know if they're just going to put him on there or what. Whatever the case may be, let's assume we have 21 people on IR. What are we doing? What are we doing? You guys need to be better. As fans, I can't tell you how to fan. But I mean, my title for the first time in 3 months is No Victory Monday. It just became like whenever I made a thumbnail, it just became a given. Oh, it was Victory Monday. Never changed it. Victory Monday just stays at the top of the thumbnail. I'm sorry, I did change it. I changed it twice. I changed it to Victory Friday. 2 times in a row. Because we won on 2 consecutive Thursdays. So we just need to be better as football fans. We need to be better supporters of this football team. I mean, what the resurgence of the Detroit Lions has done to the city of Detroit. The city. People are proud now to walk around in other parts of the country and say that they are Detroit Lions fans. And there's lots of them all over the place. Because the auto industry and all these things that have happened has displaced a lot of Lions fans. They had to leave Michigan in pursuit of better opportunities in their lives. Hell, I'm in Australia. Okay? And I've been all over the world. Didn't just start traveling like recently. I left when I was 21. Okay? But we got to be better, man. We just got to be better. All right, let me read some of your comments before I get into this game. Damn. K.A. Press said, damn, my cougar ass just turned 49 November 27th. She said, I meant 40. You gave yourself 9 years. All right. Jody Carruthers says, love your takes, new to your channel. Well, welcome in, Jody Carruthers. I remember you from somewhere else, and that's all I'm going to say. But I'm glad you found me, and I'm glad you're on board. Yeah, we all 80s. Well, we're not all 80s babies. Brent DeWitt is what are you, a 60s baby? Right? What up, though, Lone Spoon? Just a fan. You know, yeah, I'm getting my mic on. Just a fan says, as soon as Johnny left, he was dead to me as a Lion. 100%. I don't want to even come back to retire. 100%. Of course, TaylorMade says AG's trash. Celine313 says, keep in mind, so since everybody's putting it out there, I was born in 82. Okay. All right. Now you know. So keep in mind, most of that coming from the trolls and not fans, but there are those actual fans that are over the top. You know, there are SOL fans that are still out there, and the thing is crazy. It's like misery loves company, so you're waiting for the misery to come. There's a storm of bliss, and you're in the eye of the storm praying for the misery. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. Celine says younger. You 3 years older than me. All right, so let's get to the game. Got a lot to say about this football game. 48-42, Detroit Lions fall to the Buffalo Bills in a one-score game that wasn't a one-score game. It was not a one-score game. Ironically, and here's the two takes about this. It wasn't a one-score game because we got our asses handed to us, but just as I think Jim Nantz said this, and he's talking to Tony Romo, and he said, I'm looking at Josh Allen, and maybe it was Tony Romo that said this, but one of them said, he made the point, I'm looking at Josh Allen and looking at the game that he played, and this is while Detroit was driving on their last drive. And he said, he's sitting over there and he may not touch the ball again, and they may lose. This is the cachet, even because I talk about the national media all the time. I can't stand the national media. The national media is ill-informed when they talk about the Detroit Lions. There's just so many things that they don't know. A lot of them don't even watch the games. They just talk. And then they talk from, and I understand it, I get it. We, as Detroit Lions, have given a lot of fuel to the fire of the narrative. However, the narrative is dead. We're not the same old Lions. We're brand new Lions. Okay. So we've given a lot of credence and we've given them the opportunity to talk for years. And a lot of them don't want to change, like Keyshawn Johnson. And Keyshawn Johnson is funny because he was a teammate of Dan Campbell's. So on the one hand, he has the love for his former teammate. And on the other hand, he has the hate for the Detroit Lions, and he has to battle this in his mind. And you can see him whenever you're watching him, he battles it in his mind and out of his mouth at the same time. And that's the thing. Like we got our asses beat, and we have to say now, well, it wasn't, I don't want to hear about it being a one-score game, and because we played terribly, but yet and still, we were a Jake Bates, or who came in? I think it was Ezekiel Turner. We were an Ezekiel Turner wasting a Jake Bates onside kick and then a heroic smashing of Taron Johnson as he runs down 10 yards to recover his own kick. And Ezekiel Turner just comes in, and instead of getting on the ball, he kind of jumps on Taron Johnson. We had a very, very good opportunity to recover that onside kick. I'm talking about the last one. It was an awesome opportunity. Jake Bates is a freaking rock star. Jake Bates is a lion. Okay? The way he went down there as a kicker and just was fearless, and he's like, I'm gonna run into this corner, this defensive back. I don't give a damn. We need this ball. Shout out to you, Jake Bates. And then Ezekiel Turner, just like he was doing most of the game. And I'm gonna get to him. I got some special sauce for Ezekiel Turner today. Not too much, just a little bit. There's a little bit of cayenne in it, but it's mostly mayonnaise. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit of cayenne, but at the same time, I understand. Okay? I don't condone it, but I understand. Okay? Like Chris Rock said. So we were that recovered extra point or onside kick away from being able to have an opportunity to take a couple of shots to the sideline and a shot into the end zone to a JMO, to a Sam LaPorta, to an Amon-Ra St. Brown, to a Tim Patrick, to a Brock Wright, to anybody, Jahmyr Gibbs maybe, to be able to come down to tie the football game, and it would be an extra point, Jake Bates extra point away from winning that game. That being said, we did get our asses beat. We did get our asses handed to us. If you were with me during the stream, I kept saying this one thing, and it was this one thing. It wasn't about the scheme. It wasn't about anything. It was about the attitude. It was about the vibes, man. We didn't have the vibes. We did not match the intensity of the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills came out and punched us in the mouth for 2 drives. And then when Ben Johnson wanted to get creative, and I'm going to say some things here because I used to be an offensive coach. I used to be an offensive coordinator for a very small organization, small team, the one that I owned myself. I'll tell that story later. At some point, maybe during the off season when we're talking about hopefully the Super Bowl championship that we just won or whatever. I'll talk about it in the off season during, just shooting the poop. Bro, I had all types of formations. I found my playbook recently. Now this was did I find my No, I think it was the flag football playbook that I found, but I had another playbook, and I would have to look for it. I know I had a tablet. I had a Samsung tablet that I had for like 7 years, and it finally died. I wanna say that it was the playbook was uploaded to the cloud. I'm not sure, but if it is, I'm gonna look for it, see if I can find it. I felt like there wasn't enough creativity. We were 2.6 yards a carry. That wasn't good enough. We had 48 yards rushing. Jared Goff had to do everything. We talk about Josh Allen putting on the cape and Josh Allen being Superman. Josh Allen was Superman. Josh Allen did put on the cape, but so did Jared Goff. But in me saying this, you never want Jared Goff passing the football 60 times in the game. And that's pretty much what happened. It was 59. It wasn't exactly 60, but I mean, one more opportunity. Had we recovered those onside kicks, there probably would have been at least 3 more passes thrown. Right? So we did have the opportunity to see a 60-plus attempt game from Jared Goff. And there were other situations like with the Amon-Ra fumble. There probably would have been another pass attempt. Amon-Ra not catching. Now, I'm not blaming Amon-Ra for not catching the, I feel like Jared Goff could have given him a better ball. That was a difficult catch. Usually Amon-Ra comes down with those, but maybe the way that he got hit the play before, maybe that affected his ability to catch it. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm not going to speculate. All I'm going to say is Jared Goff was frustrated with himself after that play for not giving him a better ball. Right? When you've got a receiver that has a step on the DB and it's gotta have it situation, and then the receiver has to leave his feet and dive for the football, as a quarterback, you feel like you didn't throw him a good enough football. Right? It wasn't like, I got to throw it out here because that's the only place where he can catch it. That's a different situation. That's not what it was. He just kind of led the guy a little bit too much, and he knew it. He was frustrated with himself about it. But I felt like this. I understood why they came out and tried to throw the football. They had 3 of their safeties, starting safeties, down in this game. Rasul Douglas was out. Damar Hamlin was out. Taylor Rapp was out. So attacking their weakness, attacking the secondary would have been good. But I know we were trying to establish the run because you have to establish the run for play action. My problem was, and someone said this, I think it was Lone Spoon, right? Lone Spoon was like, where's the pre-snap motion? It just wasn't creative enough to say, okay, we came out, we faltered on the offense. Defense just got. I mean, Josh Allen just came out and threw a haymaker. And here's where I have to talk about Ezekiel Turner. Ezekiel Turner was lost in coverage of running backs. Ezekiel Turner was awful in coverage of running backs. Sometimes Ezekiel Turner just didn't cover them. Oftentimes, Ty Johnson was coming out of the backfield with no one on him. Other times, the running backs were covered. However, Josh Allen was given the opportunity to run around because we couldn't, not necessarily pass rush. There was a lack of pass rush and there was a lack of contain. And because we didn't have either one of those things, Josh Allen was getting loose. When we looked at the situation when Josh Pascal dove at Josh Allen's feet, I mean, I understand you're trying to make a play, but that man is 6'5", 240. You're not ankle tackling him. You're not ankle tackling him. Make him run, make him stretch it out, run to the sideline, do something. Make him try to escape you where he's only got a few yards to go, where he's out of bounds and someone else can come up and mitigate the gain. Make him do something else, and we didn't make him do anything else. What I said was the key to stopping Josh Allen was a mixture of the two things that you did. You both allowed him to do whatever he wanted and didn't cover the people that were his weapons. No, his weapons weren't Keon Coleman and Dalton Knox and Khalil Shakir. His weapons, okay, were James Cook and freaking Ty Johnson. Those guys had 200 plus all-purpose yards. You gave up a touchdown, 41 yards up the middle to James Cook. What are you doing? You came out on defense and got out-physicaled. You got bullied. That's what happened. You got bullied. Detroit is the bully. Buffalo said, not today, Satan. Okay? Buffalo said, not today. You are not the bully today. We're the bullies. They came in your house. And I made this statement about Pete Bukowski. Okay? If y'all don't know Pete Bukowski is a Packers podcaster, I don't know. Okay? He does a podcast, Locked On Packers. And he comes on the Woodward Heavyweights and he talks a bunch of crap, and then the Packers go home 0-2 this season. Pete Bukowski has been on a Twitter tirade. He was on a Twitter tirade for the entire week last week after we put the smackdown on the Packers. And my thing was this: do not let a man come into your house. And this wasn't just specifically last week. I mean, because I was mostly referencing when we went into Lambeau. Don't let a man come into your house, assault you, smack you in your face, and then you call the police. And then once the police get there and he's escorted off, and you're like, yeah, I should have done this. You lucky the police was, nah, you called the police, bro. And that's what happened to us. That's what Buffalo did. They came into our house. They laid the smack down. They assaulted us in our own houses. I mean, we didn't call the police. We fought back. Right? We weren't like, I got mind control over Debo. He'd be like, shut up. I'd be quiet. But when he leave, I'd be talking again. We are not Packers fans. They came in our house and they told us to shut up, and we were quiet. They left. We're not talking. Kudos to Josh Allen. Kudos to the Buffalo Bills. Kudos to Sean McDermott. Kudos to Ed freaking Oliver, who had 10 pressures. Ed Oliver was going off. Ed Oliver was playing like a man possessed. But that was all part of the lack of intensity. When I saw them come out flat, I was concerned. Because the only times that the Detroit Lions lose football games is when they come out flat. We've come out flat 3 times. We've lost 2 of those games. And then now we're looking at the Texans like, y'all aren't what we thought y'all were when we started this season, or in the offseason when they won the offseason with all the moves they made. We're coming out like that. That's not it. Y'all aren't it. And Goff threw 5 interceptions that game, and still Goff, listen, these stats are crazy. Goff was the only quarterback, he was part of a game and the only team in the last 50 years to throw 5 or have 5+ turnovers and to be trailing by 16 or more points to win a game. And then he's the only quarterback in the history of the NFL to throw for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a loss. So he's very opposite ends of the spectrum with those things. But that was it. And what is that? What is the reason for that? Dan Campbell. I saw it myself, and I talked about it a little bit, but I'm like, nah, not Dan Campbell. Not Dan Campbell. It's impossible for me to believe that Dan Campbell didn't get these guys ready to play this football game. And then after the game, he said, I have to get them ready to play football games like this, to go against opponents like this. And he put it on himself. He said, this is on me. I got to do a better job of getting them ready. So these things that I saw very early on in the game, this is what was happening. Dan Campbell didn't get the guys ready. I just feel like this. I was very confident, and I was almost right in my score prediction. My score prediction was 49-24. So basically, if you give the Buffalo Bills 1 more point and then you flip our score, I was dead on, right? I was dead on. But I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought it was going to go to the Detroit Lions. I was very confident that with what I had seen, with what they put on tape, the week before that this defense was Swiss cheese. They play so much zone. There was zone being played in the fourth quarter. And this is why we were kind of allowed to get back into the game. But here's what I will say. Even though Jared Goff threw for almost 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, Ben Johnson has to do a better job of loosening up a 9-man box. You are not running the football against a 9-man box as per the results. 2.6 yards per carry, 48 yards total. I think that was the first game that we did not rush for 100 yards plus in a game this season. Even in, I think we still rushed for, did we rush for 100 yards or was it 70-something in the Tampa Bay game? I feel like Ben Johnson has to be he has to be better at that, right? You're supposed to be, and I'm not, this is not any shade on Ben Johnson. You're supposed to be the next big thing. You have to have tendency breakers and you have to have beaters in every level of your playbook. You have to be able to call man beaters, you have to be able to call zone beaters, and you have to be able to dial them up in any situation. When I see 9 men in the box, guess what I'm doing? You want to go 9 men in the box? I'm going 5 wide. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm going 5 wide. So if you want to stack the box to stop the run, make them pay. No, don't just do a little bit. Don't go 3 wide. Spread them all the way out. Right? Because this is what Buffalo was doing to us. They know we want to stop the run, so they made it difficult by doing pre-snap motion, by doing misdirection. Okay? We were getting caught on the counters a lot. Right? There was a lot of open space. We were losing first down. We just were not prepared to play that football game. And I don't put that 100% on the coaches, because here's the thing that Aaron Glenn has said. Aaron Glenn has said that it is not the playbook, it is the play style that we have to get used to, or that we have to get these people to understand. Kwan Alexander, play fast, bro. Play fast. I saw you get beat in coverage against a running back coming out of the backfield. 1 second. So I saw Kwan Alexander playing hesitantly, not, you know what I mean? Just these guys weren't playing fast. They weren't playing downfield. Hold on 1 second. So they just weren't doing what we normally do. And then here's the caveat. I said it was a little bit of cayenne for Ezekiel Turner. It was a little bit of cayenne for Kwan Alexander. It's a little bit of cayenne for Jamal Adams. For who else? Right? Those aren't the guys those aren't the guys that you expect to come out here and play like Alex Anzalone and Aidan Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport and. Those aren't the guys that you expect to be doing that. So while it was infuriating to watch them try to stop Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills offense, which Khalil Shakir, how many catches did he have? 2? And one of them was that little pop pass, But again, creativity. We've done that before. Like we did it with Amon-Ra St. Brown last week. We've done it. So I don't really understand what the, and we had other opportunities. We had opportunity to go 2-half tied. We got the doors blown off of us the first 2 drives. We got down 14-0. And we had the opportunity to tie the game and go in at halftime with a 0-0 score. With the Bills coming out and getting the ball back. And had it played out the same way, then they would have gone up 7-0. It would have been 21-28. And we would have been able, and let's go. That's fine. All right. But they just didn't do it. All right. Before we get to the onside kick, let me get to some of your comments. TaylorMade, I wonder, are you a Lions fan? or are you a Packers fan undercover? Because I know you've been saying some stuff. You've saying some stuff about Jordan Love. So I just want to know. You can tell me if you're a Packers fan. You're welcome to come in and talk about it. But just like a dude named Broski Bear, and some of y'all will remember, I just have to call you out on your Packers fandom. I just have to do that. Brent DeWitt said we lost the trench war. Our identity, they beat us at our own game. Respect to the Bill, 100%. They beat us on the offensive in the offensive trenches, and they beat us in the defensive trenches. They just beat us across the entire line. TaylorMade says, how many of the last 4 or 5 Lions games have come down to the last possession? How many of the last 14 Chiefs games have come down to the last possession? This is the NFL. Lions stopped the Bills only once. Maybe that's why MCDC was desperate to go for the onside kick. Ineffective defense. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Celine 3-on-3 says defenders just made a good play on Saint. He had to reach out for it, and defender got his hand in between. You're talking about the fumble. I was talking about the pass that he dropped. I think it was on 3rd down. We gave the best QB in the league 6 seconds, not a recipe for success. No, it wasn't. TaylorMade says maybe some of the young cats on the squad got caught reading their mentions on Twitter. Could that be what Coach was talking about? I really just think that, we're down 20 guys on defense, Low Spoo says, hey, pre-snap motion, I was calling for it all game. No comment for Pat O'Connor. What did you, one day you'll have to tell me what Pat O'Connor did to you. Because I feel like he pooped in your Cheerios, man. Low Spoo says it was almost as if Ben Johnson looked at a 9-man box for most of the first half and said, someone told me they can't stop the run. Run play it is. Yeah. So it looked like Ben Johnson brought a ball peen hammer and he was going to basically crack the Hoover Dam. I just, Don't know, but the Chiefs are 13-1, and guess what? The Lions are 12-2. And the Chiefs will probably be 13-2 after next week because Patrick Mahomes is out. Injuries. That's what happens. But you still didn't tell me if you were a Packers fan, undercover, or a Bears or a Vikings fan. It's okay. Everyone is welcome here. Everyone is. I don't discriminate. I don't time people out and block them in the chat and block them from my channel just because they have a different opinion than me. I don't do that. Some people do. Some people do, but I'm not one of those people. All right, let's get to the onside kick. The onside kick. Good idea, bad idea. Dan Campbell said it's a bad idea because it didn't work. It was a bad idea because Mac Hollins went to the 4-yard line. He explained that he was trying to get an extra possession. Some people will say it was a dumb idea, but it was also a dumb idea last week to go for it on 4th down while you're already in field goal range so that you could not give Jordan Love the ball back. This is the same situation. I understand the percentages. I understand that you had just stopped the Bills for the first time all game, and this was the 4th quarter. That's not lost on me that you had just stopped the Bills and you had some sort of momentum going. And while I was watching the game, that was the initial thought in my head. Why is he going for it now? We just stopped the Bills. We may have a little bit more of momentum. We may be able to get on a run and do what we need to do on the defense. And then I remembered that I had been begging and pleading for that all game, and I had only gotten it once. In 45 minutes of football, I had only gotten it once. So while I was begging for you to stop them, while I was begging for you to set the edge, while I was begging for you to keep contained, while I was begging for you, I don't care if Josh Allen would have rushed for 200 yards that game. I was begging you to plaster in coverage so that when he does go on the scramble drill, he has no one to throw to. And you know what he's going to do if he has to rush for 200 yards because he has no one to throw to because no one will come open? One, you may entice him into a turnover. Two, he's going to be very tired. And when he's tired, Josh Allen has had turnover problems. When he's tired and when he finds that there's nowhere to go, you do that. Now, here's the argument against what I'm saying. We did that to Lamar Jackson the second time that we played the the second time in 3 years that we played the Ravens, or 2 years. We did that with Lamar Jackson. I don't know if that was designed. It looked like it was by design. We're not going to pressure him. We're not going to hurt him or whatever. We're just going to make sure he doesn't get out of the pocket. But that's when we had a horrible, horrible secondary. And he carved us up for all types of yards, and they beat us 42-6. Couldn't stop a nosebleed. That day couldn't stop a nosebleed this day. The difference is our offense went out there and put up 42 points. So if you employed the same strategy, I know it's crazy, and I'm not really saying this. I'm not saying that this is what I wanted them to do. But I'm saying that you had to pick one or the other. You couldn't do both. You tried to do both, and it didn't work. You had to let, as I said, Jordan go off for 63 in the Garden in overtime and lose. Or you had to let him win 6 championships because he finally got role players around him that could do something. right? And Josh Allen didn't do anything with all of his role players. He did it with his running backs. I think receivers and tight ends had a total of 6 catches. Did Keon Coleman play? I don't know. I didn't hear his name. If he did, he didn't get any targets. Nothing. As I said, Khalil Shakir had like 2 catches, and one of them was a little pop pass behind the line of scrimmage, which he ran in for a touchdown. A little end around reverse thing. Again, we did the same thing with Amon-Ra St. Brown last week. So was the onside kick a good decision? Was it a bad decision? I don't know. I can't say definitively how I feel about it because I understand both sides of the argument. And I can't necessarily argue for this defense because I had zero confidence in Ezekiel Turner, in Quan Alexander, in Jamal Adams, and the list goes on. I had zero confidence in them up to that point of the game. And I also, honestly, I felt like once the Bills went up 35-14, they were content that the game was over. I felt like that, like Ed Oliver didn't turn his stuff off for the entire game. He was coming the entire game. Pause. I just felt like there was a bit of an energy shift. Not like there was like less intensity without you really being able to see there was less intensity, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you. But I just felt like the Bills were like, all right, it's over. It's 35-14. It's fourth quarter. It's done. Or the end of the third quarter, it's done. There's nothing they could do. So, I don't know, dude. I understand why it was a bad call. And I also understand why it really didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I know you were trying to get an extra possession. You probably thought, and here was the thinking. This is why he said he thinks that it was a bad idea simply because Mac Hollins tips it to himself and takes it to the 4-yard line. Because you probably thought that you could hold them to a field goal. You probably said, all right, we just stopped them. This was their first punt. Great. Now let's hold them to a field goal. And then he returns it to the 4-yard line, and there's not going to be a field goal. Maybe that's what he thought. Maybe he thought, hey, if I back up this defense and they have a short field, they'll play with some more urgency. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Then the question is, if we hadn't done that, do we get that possession that we got to make it 42-48? There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot. So I don't know, bro. I'm not going to crucify him for making the decision. I'm going to say bravo for trying something different. But really the problem with the onside kick is that you have to declare it. And there's no more element of surprise. And I just don't see how they continue that next year. Because especially in a situation like what you had in the game of the year, and the most points scored was 90 points scored in the game 1,000+ yards of offense in a game such as that, when you have a team trying to mount a furious comeback, and then you go, hey guys, you mind if we do an onside kick here? Oh, no problem, Dan. Let me inform the other team to let them know that they need to bring their hands team out. It's just asinine. It's one of the dumbest things that the NFL has implemented. How do you tell a team, hey, you can't do an onside kick unless you tell the people, and you can't do it unless you're trailing? No more surprise or onside kicks. No more possession stealing from onside kicks. It's not fair, guys. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Before I say where we go from here, let me get to your comments. Lone Spoon says it wasn't his worst idea. He's had some head scratchers. I don't know. In the situation, it just, it was what it was. Celine 313 says he knew the defense couldn't stop the Bills. Yeah, we needed to steal a possession. I wasn't mad at it. Yeah, I don't remember any outrage in the chat. I mean, at that point, I was just watching. You know what I mean? I was just tired of getting smacked in the mouth. And because I was tired of getting smacked in the mouth, maybe that's why I didn't have so much of an issue with it. He was trying. We went down swinging, and like I said, at the beginning of this, we had an opportunity to win the football game, or to at least make it extremely, extremely interesting at the end. To throw the ball into the end zone once or twice to try to win the football game. We had that opportunity, so don't know. Bears about to dominate the Vikings. Hold on, I forgot that game's coming on. I was up here talking about the Lions. I forgot the Bears are about to play the Vikings. Yeah, the Bills' hands team made a play. Simple. That's true. But the Bills' hands team shouldn't have been out there. That's why I said it's a dumb rule. Like, if you wanted to put your hands team out there based off of the situation and your coaching acumen and your understanding of situational football, and we know Sean McDermott has had an issue with situational football, but if they wanted to have their hands team out there at that point to guard against a potential onside kick, oh, kudos. That's just you out-coached him. But to say that I have to tell you that I'm running an onside kick is dumb. All right, Justin Fan, we'll see you later, man. Appreciate you coming through. All right. I was gonna to do a another segment or so, but with this guy back here with this lawnmower, it's killing me. Yeah, rules are rules, and they will change it next season. Because every coach, 100%, the Lions are going to advocate for it, and any other team that has been trailing and has needed an onside kick. So that's going to be a vote, I think, which it gets done. And then also, if the Steelers special teams coach said that earlier in the year he had a meeting with Roger Goodell, and he was like, this rule, there's definitely going to be some tweaks. And, obviously they're going to tweak it in the offseason. And when they tweak it, I'm pretty sure that this will be the first thing that they address. Rules are rules and facts are facts. And the facts are you are a Packers fan. You're a Packers fan or a Bears fan. One of them. Tell me which one. Just come out with it. Tell me the truth. The truth shall set you free. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. This game, this NFC North game, is coming on. I to be quite honest with you, I did not watch the Packers and the Seahawks last night. I think I went somewhere and then came back and I saw a tweet from the NFL that said the Packers went on a 10-play drive to score a touchdown and Josh Jacobs got the ball 9 out of 10 plays. And I was like, what? This game's over. This game is over. And then by the time I came back to the game, it was 30-13 and Geno had already gone out and so usually I watch the game so you don't have to and talk about the NFC North report. But basically the report is that if we want to control our own destiny, if we want to get the number 1 seed, we just need to win out. We don't need to care about what anybody else does. We don't need to care what the Vikings do. We don't need to care what the Eagles do. None of that. We just got to win out. Do we have the ability to win out? Yes. Would I be surprised if they won out? No. Would I be surprised if we didn't win out? Honestly, yes. Because I think the only threat that's in front of us is the Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings have been running their mouths. So that bulletin board material has been there for weeks. So I feel like Dan Campbell is going to have them ready for that game. I feel like just as the Bills really got embarrassed last week, they didn't account for the Bills coming out with all that energy because they got embarrassed last week and because last week was a trap game and because it was a trap game because they were looking ahead to this game. And then so you lose the trap game and then you get to the game that you were looking ahead to. Well, you've been looking ahead to this game for 2 weeks now. So you wanted to come and show on the national stage that you were dominant and that you could be the bully. And again, respect to the Buffalo Bills. They didn't do the talking. They didn't come in there and say, oh, we don't respect the Lions because they bully other people and they're kicking everybody's ass. And, no, they came in and they beat our ass. And they didn't have anything to say about it. That was it. They came in and they did the job. And then go hats off to the Lions. They're a first-class organization. They fought their asses off, blah, 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 blah. Right? But it happens. Again, I promise you, the sky is not falling. Just like DJ Reader said. He said, it's the NFL, bro. He said, we've been kicking everybody else's ass for the last 3 months. Finally, it happened to us. It is what it is. All right, guys. Appreciate you stopping through. Appreciate you hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, same space. As always, I have to leave you with the fact that the Motor City Cats are back at it, and I came to give you stats, not static. Whatever you do, and I can't tell you what to do, but if you wanna listen to my advice, because I think I give pretty good advice. The first thing I want to say is that you need to smash that like button, that you need to subscribe, you need to share the stream, you need to let everybody know what is going on, and let them know that the Motor City Cats are back at it. And let them know that the Motor City Cats came to give you stats and not static. And let them know that whatever they do, and whatever you do, you should make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And we are out. Peace.